All right, welcome. We are here with one of our badass clients, our bold, brave, badass clients, Mandy from Colorado. What's up, Mandy?
Hey, Chris, it's so good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you as well. And I appreciate you chatting with us today to tell us a little bit about your experience working with us and your journey on, becoming alcohol free. So thank you so much. Appreciate your time. And I just want to dive in because I love your story so much. You've had a lot of wonderful things happening since you decided to get rid of the poison, aka alcohol. So let's start off with where were you in terms of alcohol before you started working with us, 4 or 5 months ago or whatever it was?
I was one of those people who I had quit for months and months at a time in the past, and so I knew that I could quit, but for some reason I always went back, and so I had quit for like 4 or 5 months a couple of years ago, or maybe a year and a half ago. And I romanticized about alcohol. And so I was on vacation and I had an opportunity to sit on a patio and have a glass of wine. And it was like, so like, oh, this is going to be so great. And I just dove right back into drinking every day, drinking a lot every day, feeling sick all the time, missing all kinds of different exciting things that I could do in the morning, like work out with my friends or go for hikes and things like that. Or if I did go, then I was in a I was miserable.
Yeah.
And I had seen you on TikTok, and I follow a lot of sober people on TikTok because I knew that that was where I wanted to go. I knew that that's where I needed to go, but I couldn't do it alone. And that's really hard for me to admit. I'm not somebody who admits that they need help very often.
Yeah. Same
And
same here, by the way. It's not an easy thing to do. It's really not. It
right.
takes a lot of courage.
Yeah. You were very I don't know if I had commented on one of your posts, but you actually reached out to me individually and you said, "Hey, welcome to the community. I'm so glad you're here. Holler at me if you ever need anything." And at that point, I had been sober for maybe like a couple of weeks or maybe a month or so. And I was like, "I'm good. Thanks, Chris. It's so nice for you to reach out." But the next time that I went back into just everyday drinking, and for me, I drank a lot. Like, I don't know how I functioned as a director in my company with the amount that I was drinking every night. I know some people drink
What
like
was that amount? Like, how much were you drinking?
um I would, those handles
Yeah.
of vodka, I that would last me 3 or 4 days.
Okay. Okay. I was about the same. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
and for those people who don't drink a lot, that lasts them months
Yeah.
and years potentially. Like I remember when I wasn't a heavy drinker, like that would just sit in my liquor cabinet for a long time. So yeah, I was down in a situation where I was like, I think I need to reach out to Chris because you had extended that help. And I reached out to you and I said, I don't I don't know I don't know what to do. Like I've tried everything. I don't trust myself anymore. I promise myself every morning that I'm not going to do it anymore, or at the end of this bottle I'm not going to do it anymore, or at the next full moon, or the next first of the month, or the next.
Sounds very
And
familiar. Yep.
I promised myself so many times that I no longer trusted that I would stick to my own word.
Yeah.
And you and I had a conversation, um and I said, I don't want to do this, but I know I have to. And that's where we started.
Yeah, yeah. And you brought up a lot of good points there, right? The not trusting yourself. It's frustrating, right? When you can't figure this out, because you're like me and like a lot of our other clients who you can pretty much figure most of your life things out. You've gotten pretty good control over it. But this alcohol thing, man, it's pesky and it's there and it won't go away. And you tell yourself you don't want to do it, but then you keep coming back to it. And it's really a mental mind F after a while. And I'm so glad that you did reach out for help. That's the other point I wanted to bring up is it's not an easy thing for a lot of people to just ask for help. We want to be able to figure it out on our own. I don't know where that comes from, somewhere
Mm.
along our childhood or wherever. It's like, no, you can't ask for help. That makes you weak or something like that. But I'm so glad that you did reach out and ask for help. And, you know, tell us about where you're at now. You've been alcohol free for a good amount of time since working with us. Like, tell us about your life now.
Well, one of the things that I knew was a reason for me wanting to escape was my job. It was a wonderful job in a really great company with a beautiful program that I helped create, but it wasn't what I loved. And in fact, I hated my job. And so part of me coming home and having something to look forward to and something like to look forward in my life was alcohol. And so in really getting clear, I decided that I needed to leave my job. And I don't want to say that so that all the people out there who are struggling are like, okay, I'm done with my job. I don't want to do this anymore. I had a lot of options and I was very grateful that I had options. I would not have been able to clearly pull that trigger with one, with being still drinking, and two, if I hadn't have had other options. And so I did make the decision to quit my job, which is very hard. What I realized through this process is that I have chosen me first. And I chose me when I finally was able to say, I need help and I don't want to have alcohol in my life. That's choosing you. You know, that's really choosing yourself first. I
I
did
just
the
want to point
same.
out before, I don't want to cut you off, but I just want to point out how you lit up when you said that. I don't know if you noticed it, but you said, well, I chose myself first, and your whole face, your energy lit up. I love that so much. I had to point that out. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, so it was the same thing with my job, is that I had to choose myself first. Now, the challenge with that, as anybody who's left a job that is a job where you have a lot of responsibility, is that in me choosing myself first, I put a lot of burden on other people. And every day I had to choose myself in anyway and just say, this is what's best for me. I know that I'm putting burden on other people by leaving, and I know that that's going to be challenging for them. But truthfully, that's none of my business. Me is my business. so so I did find another incredible job that I'm looking forward to going into. I decided to take 3 weeks off. So right now I'm cleaning my house and doing all kinds of fun stuff. I'm doing a triathlon in a week and a half.
Oh, that's so awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I used to do triathlons a while ago, and so this is the first time that I've really committed to being able to do that, because that's a lot of training. So,
Yeah.
you know, when you're not hungover, you can do a lot of things.
It's kind of amazing, isn't it? Yeah. And it's, you said I used to do it. Alcohol takes a lot of those things that we used to do, or a lot of that personality that we used to have, or that drive, or, whatever it is, it takes that away from us. And so,
Right.
one of the beautiful things about getting alcohol out of your life is you get to get reacquainted with those things if you want
Mhm.
to. You don't have to, but that's what it sounds like you're doing a lot of. And it does take a risk to leave a job like that, but you're doing that because you're clear headed, right? And you are putting
Yeah.
yourself first. And so I love your story so much. Is there been anything else that you've noticed, whether it's little or big, or just anything that's different about you and your life since you don't have alcohol holding you back anymore?
I have noticed that the few people that I've shared this with, um, are celebrating that. I had felt in the past when I had quit drinking that there was a lot of pressure to go back to drinking or to drink more, or you don't have a problem, Mandy. You're just a lot of fun when you drink and you just kind of get out of control and you don't have a problem. So I've found that now at this place in my life, I have a lot of people who are actually really cheering me on and like really celebrating that and are curious and asking me questions. And by my behavior and by the things that I'm choosing to do, uh, other people notice that. And I'm not putting it out there. I'm not pushing it in people. I'm not, shouting this from the rooftops, but the people who need to hear my story are asking and their lives are affected. So don't ever question any little thing that you might do and how it might affect someone else. And they might go, interesting.
Yeah, it's really powerful. I mean, a lot of our clients this happens to, right? You become a leader, and the person who says, "I'm done with this. I'm not going to live my life anymore this way. I'm not going to keep going through the motions and living life on autopilot. I'm going to take my life back, like you've done." And people notice that, and they go, "Wow, what's Mandy doing, man? She's different. Like I want to do what she's doing," and it inspires people, right? And like you said, it's not like you're preaching or you're telling people they have to do like no, they just see you and they notice that you're different and they want that. And that's another beautiful thing about people who make the bold, brave decision to go alcohol free in a world that is kind of obsessed with alcohol. So, um, tell us, obviously, so you worked with us. What was it about, this program that you said, okay, this is why I want to choose this option as opposed to something else?
I think that uh, so it's kind of interesting because, and I might be unique. I might be, there might be a lot of other people like me, but I live alone, and I had a really high, important, responsible, stressful job, and I didn't have to. Uh, I'm single. I didn't have to uh like report to anybody. I didn't have to, like, nobody knew. Nobody knew on a daily basis like what it is that I do at home alone. And so what intrigued me about your program was that I had a coach that I could be, that not only that could I learn from, but I also had to be accountable to. So for me, that was a really important part. But honestly, what first attracted me to your program was the hypnosis, because I was like, okay, I've tried this on my own. I can't do it on my own. Maybe the hypnosis will help me so that I no longer want to go back to alcohol. And what I found was that once I was part of the program, the weekly calls, or the two times a week calls, the breath work, the yoga, the other things that we were doing along with my coach, just it was those every few day check-ins that it was like, well, I've got to be accountable. This is what I said I was going to do. Lauren's holding me accountable. I better check in with Lauren and tell her, yep, I'm still going, I'm still good. So it was a combination of different things, but I thought I needed one thing, and what I found is that because of your program, there's a lot of different aspects, and the coaching part was the one part that was really helpful for me.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned Lauren. That was your point coach, your one-on-one coach.
Mhm.
Lauren's awesome. She's amazing at what she does. I mean, everybody that works with us has struggled with this. So we understand what it's like to be in that place where you're drinking more than you probably should. You don't feel good about it. You know you can't stop, but you can't figure out a way to stop. And then we all have. So that's one of the things that I love about it is we're all in the same boat together, right? And everybody on the community calls is in the same boat together. And it is a nice combination because you get the hypnosis, you get the one-on-one coaching, you get the group coaching and the community and the tools and the resources and stuff like that. So, I love that this worked for you. And um, who do you think this would work for? Like if somebody's listening or watching this right now, who would this benefit?
I don't know who it wouldn't,
Wow, I
honestly.
like that.
So, but I think that somebody has to be honest with themselves first and foremost. If somebody wants help, they have to be honest about the fact that they need and want help, and then ask for that help. So, So if you're not in that place to be able to ask, then you're not going to be able to get any kind of resources. So anybody who's vulnerable enough to say, I've got to get this under control. And then because of the variety of different resources that you have in your program, I think uh, it should hit needs of all the people who are struggling with alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right about it. You have to want it. You can't. And I always tell people that when I first meet them, I said, because that's why I like to have a conversation, because if you don't want it, if somebody's making you do it, or you kind of half-ass want it, you might as well not do it, right? But you really have to make it a priority and go all in, which is exactly what you did, and that's why you're having the results that you're having. So I want to commend you on that, because you were game on from the get-go. I told you that. I said, I can always tell the people that are going to have really good results, and I just knew the first time that we spoke, I was like, she's got a lot of stuff that she's going to do once she gets this out of her life. So I'm so happy that you did. you know do you miss alcohol? Do you crave it? Do you wish you could have it? Be completely honest about that.
Really, no. In the time, I think from a lot of different things that we've talked about, a lot of different parts of the coaching, some of the hypnosis stuff, the coaching calls, really, there are times when I think, oh, like this might be a time when I would have looked forward to drinking. But then those other thoughts kick in my mind, like, but you're poisoning yourself. You're doing things tomorrow, you're not going to feel good. Like, you're going to make a fool of yourself tonight. And then you're not only going to go out to the restaurant and have one drink, but you're going to buy a bottle on the way home and then pass out. Like, I fast forward through all of the things. And I'm like, at this point, it's gross. At this point, I don't even want it. I'm not even interested. Whereas times before when I've quit, I always thought, well, if I ever got married again, I would definitely have champagne at my wedding and things like that. Like, no, that will not happen. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not even interested. Give me some sparkling water. That's a celebration, you know?
Mhm.
So I'm good.
That's so huge, right? Because if you can get to that point where you go, no, it doesn't appeal to me. So then it's
Mhm,
not like you're forcing yourself not to do it. You just go, no, I'm good. I don't want that.
mhm.
When you can get to that place, man, you really are in a different position, because you mentioned the word earlier, romanticizing alcohol. And I
Yes.
did that, and I think a lot of us do that, right? Wedding, champagne, vacation. It's hard to imagine living life and not having alcohol. And so I think a lot of people get stuck in that place of like, I don't know if I could do that.
Mhm.
Um, but I mean, listening to you and seeing where you're at, are you better off today than you were while you were a drinker? I mean, is your life in a better place because of it?
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Absolutely. I I've been working for a while on trying to figure out my compelling future. And the one thing that was standing in the way of me achieving all of my dreams was alcohol.
And you just had to get honest about that. And I think that was the hardest part, right? To go, because we know in the back of our head, but we don't want to really admit it, because once we do, then we know, okay, we got to do something about it. And I think you were a lot like me, where it's like, okay, I think the thing that's holding me back is alcohol, but I don't know if I'm ready to face that. Once you said, all right, let's do something about this, that's when everything shifted. And I'm so happy to be a part of your journey, and I know you're going to go on and do massively huge and cool things. So I'm grateful to know you, and enjoy this time off in between the new jobs. Like, you're going to crush that, and just honestly, huge congratulations. Is there anything else, like, do you want to add before we wrap it up here?
Oh, no, I really appreciate that you reached out to me on TikTok. And that you recognized, and however it was that we interacted, you recognized that there was somebody that needed help. And maybe there are other people out there who also have an opportunity to reach out to somebody and just be like, hey, let me know if you need anything. Because you never know when that's going to change someone's life.
Yeah, beautifully said. I love it. Well, thank you again, Mandy. I appreciate your time, and we'll check in with you down the road. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chris.